Mike, we hear the term assault with a deadly weapon a lot. What is the legal definition in California? What is this crime, assault with a deadly weapon?
When people typically say, hey, I've been charged, or a loved one's been charged with assault with a deadly weapon, they historically think, do they have a bat? Do they have a gun? Do they have a knife? But the law is well expanded beyond that point. Deadly weapons could be almost anything. It could be a gun, a knife, a bat. It could be a boot. It could be a shoe. It could be a high heel. It could be a large ring that strikes someone. You know, you have to really, when you think about assault with a deadly weapon, you have to really think outside the box. Almost anything in some way, shape, or form can become a weapon. A brick, a big old gallon of soda. You know, one of those 5-gallon oil cans that we can get at Costco, and you hit someone over the head with that. That could bring charges of assault with a deadly weapon.
Now, so if I use one of these weapons against somebody, and let's say the person is not hurt, let's say I have a gun, and I shoot at someone, and I miss, and the person walks away, they don't have any injuries at all, can I still be charged with assault with a deadly weapon, and why, if so, if the person's not injured?
Well, actually, you in that situation, you would be charged with assault with a deadly weapon. You had a weapon capable of harming someone, you actually used it. You don't get the benefit because you missed. So not only in that situation would you be charged with assault with a deadly weapon, you'd be charged with numerous gun enhancements that could result in at least 15 years in prison. The example you gave is a very serious example of an assault with a deadly weapon, even if there's no injuries.
Can hands or feet be considered a deadly weapon in a case like this?
They can, but typically what we'll see is, and when we talk about assault with a deadly weapon, we talk about Penal Code Section 245A1 here in California. And there's also a similar saying, there's a similar language in that code, assault that can produce injury, okay? So you can have a situation where someone is in a fight in a bar, for example. We had a case, actually, where some Oakland Raider fans went down to San Diego a couple years ago, this was, and got into a bar fight with some Charger fans. And there was a fair one-on-one fist fight, and allegedly this guy fell down. It was a big guy. The purported victim was like 6'2", 350 pounds. And purportedly he got knocked down with a punch, and then the guy started to kick him. Now, he was alleged to have suffered injuries, and the DA filed 245 charges against 5 guys, 5 Raider fans. And they alleged a 245 assault with force likely to cause serious or great bodily injury. And so you can have a 245 assault as a felony with simple hands or feet.
And is this crime, assault with a deadly weapon or by means likely to produce great bodily injury, is it a felony? Is it a misdemeanor?
Well, actually, it's really one of those sections that's everything. Okay. For example, it could be a felony. It could be a serious felony. It could be a strike under California law, which is about the serious felonies that we have here in the state of California. It also could be a misdemeanor. That's what's called a wobbler. Under Penal Code Section 17B, certain felony offenses can be charged as felonies or misdemeanors.
And what are typical defenses? If you have a client who comes to you and they're charged with assault with a deadly weapon, what are the typical defenses that apply in a case like that?
Well, what we see typically is self-defense. That we see more often than not self-defense issues. Though on occasion, it does happen where it's mistaken identity. Typically, we'll see that in bar fights. We'll see that at parties.
So someone gets assaulted and they think that it's your client, but really somebody else did, and there was just too much commotion, they made a mistake.
Exactly. For example, we had a case that we're still litigating in Victorville. There was a party, someone got hurt, 2 people got hurt, and a car was seen leaving, and they called the police and said, this is the car the guy's in. They pulled over the car, they arrested everyone in the car, and in that case, our client wasn't involved in the fight, and so we feel he's a victim of mistaken identity.
Let me ask you, Mike, I know a lot of times assault with a deadly weapon is filed in connection with attempted murder. What is the connection between those crimes, and what is the difference really between simple assault versus an attempted murder?
It's a great question, Neil, and it's a question we're asked all the time in the Inland Empire, where we have a lot of crimes of violence. And I think the easiest answer to explain it to everyone is that assault with a deadly weapon is a general intent crime. You don't have to intend to hurt someone. It's a volitional act. Where an attempted murder, the person has to have the specific intent to murder someone.
So if I stab you and I'm just trying to injure you, I don't not necessarily trying to kill you, then it's an assault with a deadly weapon. But if I stab you and I'm really trying to kill you, but I don't succeed, then it's elevated to an attempted murder.
Well, I think that's a good point. But the district attorney will try to argue that you can show intent through actions. You don't have to be stabbing someone and say, I'm intending to kill you, or I want you to die. Sometimes your actions alone are enough to signify your intent. So in that circumstance, if we had it where the person was being assaulted and then took out a knife and stabbed someone, I think that if the self-defense failed in that case, that a jury would be more likely, under those facts that we're presenting, say it was a general intent, mistaken belief, and would see it as an assault with a deadly weapon and not a premeditated attempt to kill. I'm Mike Scafidi, a retired police officer and now a criminal defense attorney with Schaus Law Group. If you or a loved one are in trouble and need help, call me.